Hello, just so everybody is aware, this is a talk about plugging tires and tire repair and stuff like that in general. So if that's what you're here for, awesome, here for you. If not, well, you get to hang out, I guess, and deal with me. I am Grant. I am you good? I'm the owner of Freedom Van Go out of Jacksonville, Florida. We're one of the largest van upfitters in the country. We do everything from wheels, tires, suspension, bumpers, electrical system redesigns, as well as full van builds. Always welcome to come to Florida, hang out. We got a little showroom. If you're on the way down to like the Keys or something, stop on by, say hi. Other than that, we do have a website, vanpartswarehouse.com. That's where you can get all your parts and pieces and all the cool stuff for your vans. We are Sprinter and Transit centric, so if you have a Pro Master, I am sorry, but to be really good at stuff, you got to kind of concentrate. We can't be good at everything for everybody, so I do apologize. But we are here to talk about fixing your tire, whether that's on the road or on the trail. It is kind of the same principles. How many of you have had a flat tire from a nail or a screw or a random large bolt, something like that?
In the van or at all?
It doesn't matter, anything, because all this is the same exact principles across the board, whether it's your normal vehicle or a van or a truck, it doesn't really matter. How did you guys deal with it? Did you have a tire repair kit? Like, did you have to call AAA? Like what'd you guys do?
AAA. Plug.
Changed it.
Changed it, yeah. Deal with it later. Yeah, so I mean, there are a lot of ways to handle it, right? If you're on the road, AAA is always going to be a great way to do it. A lot of times, in general, it's unsafe to change your tire on the side of the road. Like if you're on the side of a highway and it's super duper busy, you're going to want to call whatever the highway road ranger people are to get some help, because safety is more important than anything in all of this, right? So you're going to want to utilize the stuff that is at your disposal. So for us in Florida, it's road rangers. I'm sure they're named different things across the country, but there are programs to help. Good ways is to Google, highway assistance in whatever city you're in. It'll tell you what 3 numbers to dial, star, whatever, and you'll get help. Like most of the places we travel will be able to give you some help. And whether that's just giving security of a vehicle behind you, while you're doing it, and lights and cones and stuff like that, or they can help you change the tire if you have a spare. It's definitely worth trying that first. Next, obviously, is AAA and all that kind of stuff. I say that second because it does take a long time typically. It's not going to be as fast as fixing it yourself. AAA will help, Good Sam, all this stuff if you have an RV. It all will work. Roadside service for your manufacturer, like you have a relatively new van, whether it's a Ford or a Mercedes, that kind of stuff. They can help you out with their roadside service as well. A lot of what we do is about self-sufficiency. A lot of us, I think, end up in dirt roads. Typically, those road rangers or AAA or all those guys, they will not go on the dirt to help you. Some of you may have found that out, and if you haven't found that out yet, it's really hard to get help when you're not on paved road. Whether that's if you're broken, your motor's messed up, you have a leak, whatever. Self-sufficiency is very important, and that's why we're talking about how to fix this stuff yourself. So, first thing that I want to tell everybody is actually not the first thing to tell you. My first question for you is how many of you have made sure that the jack in your vehicle works? Yes, overwhelmingly, most of you have not. Like that's the first. Like you can't change a tire if you don't have a jack, right? So I implore all of you. You don't have to necessarily do it in this environment, but at least when you get home, in your driveway or parking lot somewhere, right? Take your jack out. Make sure you know how to use it. Make sure you know where it is. I can't tell you how many people are like, I don't even know where my jack is. Because they stick them in weird places nowadays, like in the Sprinter and the Transits. They're like under the side and in the side of the step and the passenger, and they're in weird places. So one, knowing where it is very important. Making sure it works is even more important. I can't tell you how many like factory bottle jacks that are brand new are leaking and don't work and won't lift the vehicle. Like it is very, very important that you get it out and try it. Secondarily from that, a lot of these vehicles, the jacks are made for kind of how they come, right? If you have a ProMaster or a Transit or a Sprinter, like they're delivery vans. They're not necessarily designed from the factory for that jack to lift your 10,000 pound van. It's just not meant to do it. So a lot of them will fail at some point and not lift it up. If you have larger tires, if you have lift kits, a lot of the time these factory jacks will not reach to where they were meant to because of the larger tires and not be able to give you enough lift to actually, mosquito, will not actually give you enough lift to get the tire off the ground. So you got to find wood or find something to stack it with, and it gets annoying. So just try it. Make sure before you go on a trip that you know how to at least jack the vehicle. Your owner's manual will tell you exactly where to put the jack. If you don't have a physical one, you can go to Ford or Mercedes or Dodge or any manufacturer you have, and the website, if it's a relatively new one, will have the manual there. If not, you can Google it. I'm sure it's somewhere online. They have a PDF of everything nowadays. So always make sure you jack from a safe point. Don't just kind of pick a spot and hope for the best, because things fall and it's not good. Yes?
Yeah, there's a real good off-road base too that works for almost all factory jacks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a little orange platform that weighs about an inch and a half.
Yep. So the comment was there's a good platform that's available, and a good easy way to find that is search high lift jack platform. It's like $40 on Amazon, and it's like a big square with a little elevated. They're plastic. They're really easy to store, but he's correct. It bridges the gap, and it also makes it a much larger base for stability, so that if you're in like sand, like we are here, that you have less chances of that jack kind of moving around. Very, very good points. Yes, sir.
So the lift point on a Ford Transit is the rear axle. Those bottleneck jacks have a very small surface to come in contact. One would be wise to get a bottleneck adapter. It's U-shaped to disperse the weight.
Yeah, so his comment was, and that's also on pretty much any vehicle, the rear axle is an optional lift point. And he was making a suggestion that there are add-ons for bottle jacks that are kind of like a U or like a V to cradle that. Instead of just a little itty-bitty round tip, it'll actually cradle that to make sure it holds a little bit better. I will say, for pretty much everybody here, there is a company called SafeJack that makes a really good kit that has like a bag and a bottle jack that's rated for our vans, and it has some extensions and it has those cradles. I want to say it's like sub $400. It's one of those things, like, it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but like insurance, you don't need it until you need it. So it's one of those things, like, it's nice. It's in a little bag. You can take it from vehicle to vehicle. It's an invest once and it'll last forever.
Sorry.
SafeJack.
SafeJack.
Yep. They have a couple different options. The one that I like, they have like a Sprinter specific one, but it's really expensive. They have like a generic kind of like a 6-ton bottle jack kit. Has a little bag and the extensions and stuff. I want to say it's around $400. That's the one that we carry in our vans, and I've used it a bunch and absolutely love it. But yes, having some kind of a cradle for the rear axle makes it insanely safer. Totally agree.
If you have a hitch, can't you jack the rear from the hitch?
So the question is, if you have a rear hitch, can you jack from the hitch? That's a loaded question. Can you or should you?
Should, I guess.
Should, no. But and we'll talk about it, like when you're in an austere environment, when you're in the middle of nowhere, sometimes the best options aren't the greatest options, if that makes sense. Right? So should you? Probably not. Can you? Most likely, but it also is going to depend on what vehicle it is, how much weight's actually in it. Just like vehicle recovery, a lot of this has to do with forces in general, and kind of thinking through what forces are being exerted. If you have a longer RV like our open trail over here, the hitch is actually extended back from the normal frame, so the rating's a little different. So in that case, I would say absolutely not. Don't jack from that. But if it's a super short wheelbase like ProMaster, for example, where it's really short, fulcrum on that hitch, if you're just trying to unload a little and it's not a super heavy van, then yeah, it could be an option. But inherently, I'm going to tell you no, unless you know those kind of loads and know what's going on. And then, honestly, you probably wouldn't ask that question. So I would suggest don't use the hitch for jacking. There's just so much that can go wrong from there. A lot that can go wrong.
Lifting the whole back of it, too.
Yeah. Off of, in most cases, 6 to 8 bolts. So there's not a whole lot of, it's not the kind of forces that it's designed. It's designed for, down and back forces, not, up forces. So, yeah. Once you know where to jack from, once you know how to use your jack, you know that your jack actually works, then we go to, fixing the tire. Who all knows for sure how to take off a tire? Who all's done it? Beautiful. We're like half and half, right? So the half of you that haven't, what are you waiting for?
Get on it.
You got to do it. You got to do it because you never know do you have the right socket for the wheels that are on your van. For all of you that have changed the wheels and tires out, do you know for sure that you have the right socket to fit that new, nut that's on there, the new bolt that's on there? A lot of times it's different than what comes with the van. So aftermarket lug nuts are often smaller, or wheel bolts are often smaller than the factory ones. So like if you have the factory, jack with the little breaker bar, it may not even fit. So you may not even be able to take the tire off if you have to. So again, preparation for going out and doing any road trip or off-roading or stuff like that is making sure you have what you need in order to do the repairs if possible. Because I've had a lot of flat tires. It's life, especially when you're out in rocks and trails and stuff like that. It just happens. So to make sure that you have the tools is absolutely imperative. Now, once you have the tire off, it's a matter of finding what the issue is, right? Typically, there's a couple different things that'll happen. One, you'll get a nail in the tire. You'll get a screw. You'll get. I've had a branch puncture my tire in the tread. Like the weirdest things can happen. It's absolutely frustrating, but you got to find the issue and figure out if it's repairable, right? Everything is repairable. The question is the repair safe? And that's kind of where it's kind of muddy. So if you have a puncture in the tread area, if you've ever had like a nail in a tire or something, you go to a tire shop and they're like, it's too close to the sidewall, we can't repair it. Well, that's a real thing. So the way that tires are built, there's a separation between the sidewall and the actual structure of the tire itself that is steel belted. And once you kind of get to that edge, once you have punctures, there's a really good chance that over time, because of the heat in the tire as you're driving, as well as overall wear, that it can elongate that hole and or turn into a tear because of how sidewalls are reinforced differently than actual tread. So anytime you repair your tire on the trail or on the side of the road, I absolutely suggest that you go to a tire shop as soon as you can to get an actual patch put in. Now the difference between a repair and a patch is a repair is typically a little a black like rope device that gets put in, and I'll show you guys all those tools and all that stuff here in a second. But it's like a little black rope that you put into the tire, pull out, and it basically like glues in and stays in there, and that's just kind of filling the hole, filling the void, blocking the air from coming out. Does that like picture in everybody's head okay? Do you guys get that? All right, so a patch, they actually take the tire completely off of your wheel, or in some cases just like open it up, depends on how severe it is. And they actually grind down the inside of the tire and then glue in a thick rubber patch and work it in real good, and then do a layer over that, and that is a permanent repair, right? You don't want to go long term just on a quick patch. Have I done it? Yes. Do I recommend it? No, because it has come back to haunt me like 2 years later, and it's now leaking, and I have to redo it in the middle of nowhere, and here we are again. So I thoroughly suggest if you ever do have to do a trail or a road repair to get going again, to get that tire actually patched, because that is the best way to do it. If you have sidewall damage, I don't really suggest you guys trying to fix it. Put your spare tire on, continue on. There are some kits out there that can do sidewall damage. They're typically really, really thick rubber, like kind of squares, and they kind of super glue onto the side. They're really meant for like Jeeps and stuff like that really get big gashes and things like that. For the weight of our vehicles, I'm assuming, because it's a van event, that most of us have, 9 to 12,000 pound vehicles. That's not really going to be a good, even in my opinion, short-term repair. Like the chances of that blowing back out with as much weight as we have, if you're off-road and all that stuff, and heat from on-road, I don't really recommend it. Like if you have a sidewall gash, whether it's on the inside or the outside, just swap out to your spare tire. Also, make sure your spare tire is good and that it's inflated. I can't tell you how many people have had an issue and then went to drop their spare tire out, and because they bought the van used, they don't even have one. Like, I mean, there are so many times, especially with RVs. A lot of RVs don't come with spares as well. So, along with that, trip preparation, make sure that your spare is actually inflated and that it's holding air. It's been there for years in some cases, and you don't check the tire pressure. make sure there's no damage to it and all that kind of stuff. I know there's a lot of details here, but also for a lot of you, if your vehicle has aftermarket wheels, especially on Mercedes and Ford, if you have aftermarket wheels, the wheel bolts and the wheel nuts are different than factory wheels. So I'll say it again, they're different. If you have like aluminum wheels and your spare tire is steel, it's going to take a different nut or bolt if it's a Mercedes. So that's very, very important. You can't use the same ones. Specifically on Mercedes, if you have an aluminum wheel and you put your steel wheel on the back and you use that same bolt, it's actually going to destroy your e-brake assembly. So it's very important. A lot of times the RV manufacturers will give you those 6 bolts, and they're typically where the jack is. But just see what you have as a spare. Make sure you have the right nuts and the right bolts to be able to use it without causing damage. Because I have seen it, because we do a lot of sprinters, so I have seen it where somebody has put the longer aftermarket bolts in, and it will just destroy all the springs and the brake pads because it sticks too far through. So again, a lot of details here. Always welcome to come up and just talk more, ask more questions if you need to after this. But is everybody tracking so far on the prep for all of this? Any questions so far? Yes, ma'am.
And this is being recorded? There's no way I'm going to remember.
Yeah, so the question was, is this being recorded? The awesome people in the back, I assume this is being recorded. I don't know where it's going to end up being at, but it is being recorded.
All right. Because I need that sprinter information.
I get it. I totally get it.
Okay.
All right, yes?
What about fix the flat?
So, fix the flat. I absolutely hate it. So, the question is what do I think about Fix-A-Flat? Fix-A-Flat is one of those things that was invented to solve a problem, which it does, but it also creates a whole lot of other problems. So Fix-A-Flat in general is really, really good for smaller diameter tires. Think lawnmowers, think ATVs, think things like that. Fix-A-Flat isn't really meant to go higher speeds, higher rotational speeds, and the reason why is the way Fix-A-Flat works is it starts out as a liquid and then seeps into things and then dries. Well, the problem is when you put a lot of Fix-A-Flat into something, you got a 50-50 chance of it working. It could plug that hole, but all the rest of that Fix-A-Flat that's in there hardens into a ball, and then when you're going down the road at 70 miles an hour, you have a ball of stuff bouncing around your wheel, and it's a horrible experience. Like when I was 16, I did it. I'll never do it again. Really bad. And then plus after that, when you go to a tire shop, and they find out you have Fix-A-Flat, they're probably going to gouge you because it sucks. It gets everywhere, especially if it's not totally dried yet. It gets all over the machine, makes everything like sticky. It is the worst thing in the world to deal with at a tire shop. So they will hate you forever. I do not suggest Fix-A-Flat for like vehicles. Yes. Yeah.
It's a one-shot deal.
Yeah, so the gentleman in the back commented in the bike industry, it ruins the valves, like your valve stems where you put the air in. It like gets them all nasty. And if you have TPMSs, it's also going to ruin those. So for most of us, that's about $80 per TPMS. So, I mean, it's quickly going to turn into like a $500 or $600 repair if you use Fix-A-Flat. Yes.
Same thing for slime?
Yeah, for anything. For any liquid, so the question was, is the same thing for slime. So slime is just another manufacturer of a Fix-A-Flat type thing. Yeah, same exact thing, because the way that it's designed is to find air and then it'll harden once it gets to it and stop a leak and all that, but you still have all of that stuff inside the tire. So do not recommend any kind of liquid put into your tire to try and fix the flat. Yes? Yeah, so the question was, if you use aftermarket wheels, the ideal is to get a new tire, not just repair it. If it's repairable, repair it.
Well, I mean, yeah, in terms of like this, like say your lugs and your nuts, in terms of if you ever did have to switch it out or repair it.
Go get 5 new tires.
Ideally, just make sure you get a fifth wheel.
Yeah, so the suggestion was that, like, so most people have like four aftermarket wheels, especially in like the RV industry, you'll get your aftermarket wheels from the manufacturer, and then the spare will be steel. The comment is just to get another matching wheel. Yeah, absolutely. But also that's another $400 or $500 by the time it's all said and done, and we have budgets. So I mean, not everybody can do that. My van, yeah, absolutely. I have a matching spare. That's the easiest way to do it for sure.
But what do? Do you just, if you don't buy the fifth one, you just use the one that came with the van, and then you have like a small one and then four, 3 big
If you have upgraded, so the question was, if you do have the factory spare, what do you do? Because you'll have like a smaller tire if you have bigger ones. Well, hopefully whatever shop you went to was smart enough to say, hey, you're getting 4 larger tires. Would you like a matching tire on the spare? In most cases, a good shop will suggest that. And then we can put the matching tire on that spare so that you can still use that wheel and not have to invest the extra anywhere from $280 to $400 on a new wheel, but still have the same overall diameter so you don't get that weird like donut situation. So yeah, no, you absolutely, that is a concern for sure, especially in all-wheel drive vehicles. Like Transits, they're more sensitive to it than Sprinters are. If you have a smaller wheel in the front, it doesn't really like it. And read your manual on, say this a lot, but read the manual because it'll tell you like if you have a smaller spare tire, where to put it. Because certain all-wheel drive vehicles, it really matters, especially like Subarus and stuff like that. Like it'll tell you if you have a flat in the back that you're going to want to move the good wheel to the back and put the flat on the front. Like it's very specific sometimes. So the manual is absolutely, read your manuals. I promise you'll find a whole lot of really good information. Okay, so tools. These are the things that I always have with me. So I have a portable air compressor here. Most of my vans have like an onboard air compressor. I only carry this one if I don't have a van that has it. Or if we're doing something like this. So this is an ARB air compressor, and it is a fully self-contained unit that has an air compressor and air hose. I add the air filler with a digital readout to tell you like what it is. And it just clicks to your vehicle battery. Anytime you're using a portable air compressor, you're going to want to do it with the engine running. Don't ever do it with the engine off. Because you're going to have 2 problems. You're going to have a flat tire and a flat battery. So make sure the engine is running anytime you're using a portable air compressor. If you have an onboard air compressor, it does make life a little easier. Typically, you'll just plug your air hose in and start inflating. It makes life way nicer, but also, everybody's budget's different. This is a couple $100 versus onboard air is close to $1,000 by the time it's all said and done with mounts and the compressor and the lines and the installation. It gets expensive, but it's one of those things you have to carry around, so that's nice. It's just a matter of what's more valuable to you. Both work absolutely great. You don't have to use an ARB. There's a lot of great brands on the market. Viair is also a good one. The only thing I will suggest for you for any compressor that you're going to get is look at the details and make sure it's something called 100% duty cycle. Duty cycle refers to how long it can be running before it has to be turned off. So everything has a duty cycle of some sort. Right? If it's a 50% duty cycle, then what that is telling you, if you're using it for 10 minutes, it has to work for 5 minutes, and it has to sit for 5 minutes so that it doesn't overheat and blow up. Because it'll happen. Like, you'll burn it out if you just let it go for a long time. 100% duty cycle means you can let it run as long as you possibly want. They've done the engineering for the cooling. They've done the engineering for all the stuff on the inside that it can work as long as you want it to blow up your tires. And the time difference often between like a 50, 60, 70% duty cycle and a 100% duty cycle is the 100% duty cycle compressors typically output more air as well. So it will greatly reduce the amount of time that you're inflating your tires. And whether that's because you have a leak in your tire and you plugged it, or you've been going down washboard roads and you let some air out of your tires so it doesn't, jar as much. It's a lot nicer of a drive. You got to get that air back in somehow, right? So whether that's onboard or a portable air compressor, this is one of the things that gets kind of the most use in my vehicles. I religiously let down air when I go off-road because it makes it so much nicer to drive on washboard roads, especially around here. Like, it's so much nicer if you let 20 PSI out of your tires. It's absolutely night and day, so I totally recommend it. With that,
Sorry.
yes.
How
How does that affect the sidewall after, you're talking short period of time?
Yeah, so the question was, is how does airing down affect your sidewall? Yeah, so when you air down your tires, in general, you never want to do it on the pavement, ever. You don't want to drive on the pavement with air down tires. It will eat your sidewall without a doubt. When you air down, it's typically because you're off-road on washboard roads or, kind of rocky or whatever off-road terrain you want to call it, and you're at lower speeds, and you're using it to increase traction and or increase flotation, especially like over sand, on the beach, things like that. Once you have aired down tires and you go back on the road, the biggest issue is that larger footprint plus the weight creates heat. And heat is what will destroy both your tread and your sidewall, and they will not be long for this world. So that's why having the compressor is so useful. Because you can be like, okay, well, I'm going to go down 30 miles of BLM whatever to get to here, and then when you get back, it's going to take another 10 miles to go to a gas station, let's say. You can absolutely ruin a set of tires in 10 miles, without a doubt. You can destroy a set of tires.
So my point is, if you don't have the compressor or means to refill that, you should not air down unless you're going to go right to the gas station, which is right at the end of this road, which it is not.
Let me tell you something. If you do not have an air compressor and you do not have a plug kit, you shouldn't be going off road.
Okay.
I mean, this is like real serious stuff. Like, it happens all the time, especially in this area of the country. Like, so many people get stuck 20 miles back because they're not prepared, and they have to walk 10, 15 miles to find something. Like, you hear it all the time. Like, this isn't a rare incident. Like, if you don't have the ability to at least sort out a flat tire, like, stay on the pavement. Like, I mean, it is a safety factor. But then also with that, travel in a group, travel in pairs, right? 2 vehicles is way more safer than 1. Because if something happens, you at least have a way to get back to civilization to find help. Because, I mean, everybody can't fix everything, right? But we want everybody to at least be able to change their tire. That's the most common thing that's going to happen to anybody here in their time of driving a car, is that they're going to have a flat tire. It's going to happen to everybody at some point. Yes, sir.
Comment. My Sprinter van, and I know a lot of us have Sprinter vans, the front air pressure is 55 pounds and the rear air pressure is 70. A normal gas station air compressor shuts off at 40 or 45 pounds. Been there, done that. Need your own compressor.
So the comment was, a lot of our vans have higher rear pressure than the front. In his case, we say 55, 70. Yeah, so that's a normal Sprinter, like a 144 or 170, something like that. It's a high rear pressure, right? So he was saying gas station pumps he's found don't have that pressure. And I would agree with you. I found some Wawas and stuff that don't have the higher pressure. And a lot of these off-road oriented compressors, whether onboard or portable. Oh man, y'all are missing out. Y'all don't know what Wawa is? Jeez, I feel bad for all of you. Come to the East Coast. Come hang out. Let's go to Wawa. It's like Maverick, but 10 times better. So yeah, I mean that is a very good point. A lot of us have higher pressure tires, and a lot of these off-road oriented air compressors are able to get up to that. Hold on 1 second. Yes, sir.
Costco has pumps that will get you to those higher routes.
There you go. He's saying Costco has some pumps that'll get you there. But again, make sure you check the duty cycle, because you could be sitting there for a long, long time. So make sure it's 100% duty cycle.
I think it means outside
Yes,
the
sir.
tires.
Yeah, another comment. I got a Sprinter, but they got some very specific jack points too. It's worthwhile
They
putting
do.
a jack point, like a little bit of yellow or high visibility paint on there, so you don't hunt those at night.
Yeah, so he was saying that, his vehicle Sprinter does have some very specific jack points, which it does. Again, it's in the manual with pictures and highlighted areas on exactly where to jack. So please read your manual. I promise it helps. But yeah, hitting it with some yellow paint. This goes back to try it in your driveway to make sure you know where stuff is. And when you find it, hit it with some yellow spray paint or, even nail polish or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just some kind of a bright color. So when you're, under there at night and you got a flashlight, it's easily accessible. Because especially on the Sprinter, they're kind of in like weird places. There's like 8 different places on a Sprinter that you can jack from technically. but it's kind of weird to find the like primary jack point. So yes, mark your jacking points. That's a very good idea. All right, so we covered air compressors. We all want to have an air compressor of some sort. Again, 100% duty cycle is best. You can use less. Just make sure that you give it a rest. Wow, there's a lot of weird rhyming stuff there. I promise that's not on purpose. Otherwise, you will destroy your air compressor. Like, you'll just burn it out. The motor will just die. Motors don't like heat. Now, finally, so this is what I carry with me in my vehicle. So this is kind of a bougie way to do it, but a company called Blue Ridge Overland Gear out of Bedford, Virginia. Really great people, all American sourced and made products. They make the bag, and this is where I keep all of my stuff. I keep an inflator. The other side has a deflator. It's not in here because I had to use it to let all of the air out of my rear tires so I could get level, so my shower would drain. So yeah, it's over there. And then on the back here, it holds a plug kit. I'm partial to the ARB plug kits. I've used a lot of them over the years. It tends to be the more robust one for the price. I want to say they're like $60, something like that. But I've been using the same one for, I want to say 5 or 6 years without any of the parts breaking in it. Whereas I've had other ones where like parts break all the time. And with that, it's very important, whatever kit that you buy, one, that everything's slightly organized. Because there's nothing worse than hunting in a random tool bag looking for the different components you need to do it. But there are two main parts that you use for a tire plug kit. One is a reamer. So a reamer is a pointed item that has either, on this case it's a spiral, in other cases it'll be like little knurls, like a file, like it'll have knurls on it. And the point of this is to make whatever hole that was put into your tire uniform. It gets it open to a correct size. It also gets rid of any of like the sharp edges or weird debris, cleans the hole out, that kind of stuff. And you honestly, literally, all the kits come with some lubrication. You put some on there. Take whatever you have in the tire out. I will say if it's a really, really small thing, leave it in. Don't take it out. If it's really, really small, use your fancy air compressor and just put some more air in the tire and keep going. The reason I say that is the hole has to be a certain size in order to get the plug in. If you have a drill and drill bits on you, not a problem. Just use a drill and open that hole up a little bit until this can fit in here. If it is so small that you don't think you could get this in there, just leave it in there and just keep refilling it, or put your spare tire on that you know that has air and you know how to take down and you know how to change, right? If you're in the middle of the mud or somewhere and you have a flat tire, like just put air in it and get out to a safe place. Like, you don't always have to change your tire right then. If you're prepared and you have a way to put more air in, and it's a slow leak or it's enough to give you 5 minutes down the road, just put the air in it, get to a safe place. Change your tire out. That's the biggest mistake is people will take something out of their tire and the hole's so small that you can't get this in there. And again, if you carry drill bits in a drill, you can absolutely just send a little drill bit. Typically like something like a 1/4 inch is pretty good. Just send it through the hole, ream it out, we'll put the plug in, you'll be good to go. But it's got to be able to fit this. This is imperative. Otherwise, you're just going to have a leak with nothing in it if you can't get whatever you took out back in. So your reamer, this is probably one of the most important things that are robust. So what I see a lot of times is either the handles are really thin and they're not very like good to put in your hand, or the reamer itself is really small, and I've actually seen them bend as you're trying to put this in, because this does take some effort to put in. Like, you're trying to get it into really thick rubber that has metal going through the sides of it because it's reinforced, and it takes some effort. So make sure whatever kit you get, this is really skookum. The one from like a gas station, typically they'll be really fragile and you'll break it. Like, I've seen it happen. The other thing that we use is the actual plug inserter. Yeah. So you'll see two designs of these typically. So they're always gonna be like a T-handle with a little shaft that goes out and a hole at the end. Sometimes they'll have this little retainer piece here, sliding, whatever you want to call it. I try and always get one that has this piece on it. You'll see a lot of them that don't. The reason you want this piece on there is as you put this into the tire, the plug goes in, and I'll show you guys how to feed the plug through. The plug will go in, and you have to pull it back out also. Well, sometimes, especially if it's kind of a larger hole, like a larger bolt maybe went through it or something like that, it might actually just pull the plug out with it. So with this piece, you can take your other hand and push down against the tire as you're pulling it, and it'll keep your plug where it's supposed to be. So I really, really suggest whatever kit you get, again, doesn't have to be an ARB, just make sure whatever you get, it has this little piece. It will increase your chances of not having to do a plug twice and it being stuck in there the first time. Any questions so far? Okay. So the core of all of this, and this is the only consumable in the kit. You should be able to get a good plug kit and never have to replace anything except your consumable. These are your actual tire plugs. So it's kind of an adhesive rubber rope. Give me just a second. They're really sticky. Yeah. All right, so these are really, really sticky. They're like a rubber vulcanized, kind of like a fiber reinforced, just a stick of rubber. And this is what's going to keep all the air coming out of your tires. It's really sticky so that it kind of like grabs onto the tire. As heat builds up in these, they soften a little and get even more ingrained into all of those steel fibers and the rubber around that hole. And the way you use these is they're all kind of flat, like an oval. You put it through the end of this little guy here. Takes a little bit of effort. If you have some needle nose pliers, it's nice to carry with you. Somebody stole the ones out of here. Normally, this kit comes with some, but I assume one of my guys took it out. I don't know, it happens. And this is what it will look like when you're ready to put it in. That little eye at the very end, the plug goes through it halfway, so you have a little bit going out on each side, and this is what it would look like. From there, at this point, you have your reamer in the tire. You kind of go on side to side a little bit, go in and out, twist it as you do it so that you can make sure it's nice and clean, uniform size hole from whatever debris was in there. And at that point, you're going to do a switcheroo. And you're going to want to do this kind of quick because it's much easier to do this with some air in the tire than with the tire very empty. So if your tire is empty, go ahead and pump it up some. It'll make it easier because when you go to push this in and that tire's like just collapsing in there, it's going to make it so much harder. So if you can, put some air back in the tire. You can even leave the reamer in the hole. Like if it was a big enough hole that let all the air out of the tire, put your reamer in the tire and then pump the tire up because that'll plug the hole. So it'll let you get some pressure back in there, and it's going to be a quick kind of situation. Yes, sir. What you got? Okay. Well, I'm going to too. It's going to wave at all of us. Come on. So you're going to do a switcheroo. So you're going to take the reamer, and you're going to pop it out. You want some air in the tire. It's going to be loud, noisy. You're going to get nasty rubber air all in your face. You're just going to make sure you put some lube on this one also, just like you did your reamer, and stick it in, right? You can, it can go all the way in. It's okay if the plug goes all the way in. If when it pulls back out, if the plug comes off inside the tire, that's fine. Leave it. Put another one in there. Push it in. The goal is to have it in with the tails wrapped down and just like a 1/4 of an inch hanging outside the top of the tire. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. So when you push this into the tire, right, it's going to go like this.
Yeah.
You want to push it in so that you leave about a 1/4 of an inch outside of the tire.
So you'll see those two ends.
Correct. So the reason you want to do that is if you push it all the way in, if the hole's big enough, you'll be able to pull it out and then use this piece to hold it down to take it the rest of the way out. Because there's a little split in the end of this. So it's designed to go around the plug after a certain amount of pressure is being applied. So when you do that, there is a chance if you go all the way in, if you just force it all the way in, there is a chance that when you go to pull it back out, that you're going to lose the plug in the tire. It happens. It's happened to me. It's part of life. Like, you just get really excited and you just go for it and you're not paying attention.
Hope it ain't the last one.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope it's not the last one, for sure. So yeah, it's okay. You can do it again. It's not the end of the world. Like, this isn't you have to do it right the first time or everything's bad. Like, you can do this 2 or 3 times. It's okay if you put it in and it leaks. It's fine. Try it again. It's not the end of the world.
Switch your route when you do that the second time. Put the reamer back in while you load that thing back.
That's correct, yes. If your thing doesn't work, whatever, pull it back out, put the reamer in. That way you plug the hole that's there so you still keep some air in the tire, and then give it a go again. Again, not the end of the world if you don't do it right the first time. I've had to do it 2 or 3 times because sometimes it just doesn't seat quite right, and you get a little bit of a leak. And I take the reamer, I poke it back in, leave the plug inside, because when you go to get a patch and a real repair afterwards, they'll take it out. So not the end of the world. But yeah, it's very important. Put it in, make sure there's a little bit of tail hanging out, and then push on that round piece and pull the rest of the way. And it'll disengage from the plug, and you should be good to go. Check for leaks. There's a couple different ways to check for leaks. One, if you don't have anything, spit on it. It'll tell you if it's leaking. It's not the elegant way to do it, but it'll work. If you do have something like Windex or some kind of 409 cleaner or any kind of cleaner, just spray it on it. If you get bubbles, it's still leaking. You'll probably need to do another plug. Typically, maybe you didn't use the reamer quite enough, and it's not quite a uniform hole. Or if it's a big enough hole, you might need to add another plug. Like I had an M10 bolt go through my tire. It took me 3 plugs in the same hole to get it enough so that I could keep going down the road. Should I have just put the spare tire on? Yeah, sure. Am I lazy? Also, yes. So, it is what it is. But we all have different risk tolerances. Mine's pretty high, so don't do what I do. You got a question?
They don't come in different widths. That's
No.
one size.
So the question is, do they come in different widths? I'm not going to say no, they don't. I'm going to say in my looking and use case, when I go to order them, I haven't found any that are different. Now, there are some for big stuff that are much bigger and use a bigger plug, but on the automotive realm, I can't say that I've seen like different size ones, to be honest. Yeah, no, I haven't. There's some specialty stuff for bigger holes, like highly more off-road oriented. Like there's one that where you put a reamer in and it's like an open hole, and then they have like a big rubber plug that you like push. There's some specialized stuff, but it'd be like so far and few in between that you would need that it would be worth kind of having. It's one of those things like diminishing returns. Like you can have all the tools in the world, but really if you're not going to use them, is it worth the space? Because you can just put like 3 of them in there and it'll still work. Or put your spare tire on. Yes, ma'am.
So you can't really mess up with the reamer.
No.
Okay. 'Cause
Nope.
I'm imagining like a bike tire with like the tube inside or
Mhm.
something, right?
Yep.
There's nothing I can like screw up with.
Not a thing in the world.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, the only thing the biggest risk here is if you have the tire off of the vehicle and you're doing this, is pushing too hard and like falling over the front of the wheel. Like, that's really the biggest chance of anything messing up that you have. You really can't mess up the process. Like, it can be difficult sometimes. Like, especially if it's like kind of a smaller thing to get the reamer in, and like it takes a lot of effort sometimes. Like, don't underestimate it. Like,
Yeah.
I've struggled.
Like
and-
throwing your whole weight in.
Yeah, for sure. Like I've even had to. Don't do this. I've even had to like back up the wheel, and then I put the reamer against the ground at an angle, and then backed up a little bit more so it would give enough effort to get through it. Like you're going through multiple layers of really thick rubber that has steel reinforcement in it. Like it's not a joke. Like this stuff takes some effort. That's why it's worth trying. Like if you have I don't know, if you have like a lawnmower or something, like drill a hole in it. Just give it a try. Like it's worth it. It's fun. It's worth it. All right, just give it a go. Just do it. But yeah, it's one of those things where it could be super easy, or it could be really hard.
What if you just went at it with the drill instead of having to fight it with the reamer?
Not everybody has a drill and drill bits. Yeah. I totally suggest carrying drill and drill bits. Like, that's the easiest way to do this. But not everybody has a drill and then a set of drill bits, and like it's just adding more and more layers to it. Just like anything, you can get as complicated or as simple as you want. But yes, absolutely, carrying drill and drill bits will make all of this way easier. You don't have to fight it near as much.
I was going to say, one thing I've done is I've left the tire on, and rotated it into a position where I could get to it with the tire of the vehicle. So you got that resistance and you can push against it.
Yeah, so that works really well if you have good upper body strength. I mean, as you can see, it's like a half and half here. I mean, a lot of times it is easier to take it off the vehicle so you can put all of your weight behind it. I mean, there's been times it's real hard. I mean, it takes a lot of effort. A lot of effort.
With your plug tool, did you say that it's not shaped like a needle eye at the end? It actually has a gap and it will let go?
That's correct. Yeah, so the question was, does it have like a needle gap at the end? And you're all more than welcome to come and take a look at after. But yes, it's got a little split. And you can pass it around if you want. Yep, so after enough force is applied, it will just open and go around whatever the plug is.
I'd like to get your thoughts on the plugs that screw in with the Phillips head screwdriver.
Never use them, don't have any thoughts. The question was, do I have any thoughts? So there's a whole bunch of different, especially nowadays, like modern interpretations of plugs. So there are some that you can like screw in with a Phillips head, kind of like a wall anchor type thing that are rubber. Honestly, never used them, so I don't have anything to say good or bad. I've never even heard of anybody using it, so I don't have any good real-world feedback to give you.
These don't have adhesive that you have to put on them, or it's on there already?
These do not have adhesive on them. The way that this particular plug is that it's once it gets hot, the heat of it gets it all, yeah, correct. It vulcanizes it and makes it kind of work. But again, these are not permanent fixes. This is a temporary fix to get to civilization, and please get the tire taken off and put a patch on the inside.
Right.
Yes.
If you have to change spare,
Yes.
do you also recommend having a torque wrench?
I always recommend having a torque wrench. And so, okay, so the question was, if you have a spare and you have to swap over to it, do you recommend using a torque wrench? Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to recommend using a torque wrench. Like, that's always going to be the thing that you're going to recommend. But, like everything in the world, there are situations where maybe that's not an ideal thing to happen, right? Maybe you forgot it or whatever. Like, I mean, you can't always do everything perfect all the time. We're in the middle of nowhere on the side of the road trying to get home. It just is what it is. So, do I suggest you use a torque wrench? Absolutely. Specifically, I really like what's called a split beam torque wrench. And that's because they don't typically need calibration. Once they're good, they're good. You can leave it at one setting. So if you look at your owner's manual to see what your torque should be, you can set it and forget it. Where other types of torque wrenches, you have to set it back down to 0. Otherwise, it's over time, it will skew what the actual torque is. So split beam torque wrenches, Harbor Freight has some. They're anywhere from like $50 to $150. Just depends on the brand you get, but it's kind of one of those like buy once and you'll never have to get another one. Totally recommend it. Totally recommend it, because especially if you're not used to doing it, you may not know what it feels like. My own cars, I don't really use a torque wrench nowadays because I've taken my freaking tires off so much that I kind of know what it feels like. But like if it's a new vehicle that I haven't torqued to that value with, then yeah, I'll use a torque wrench for sure. On my own stuff, I typically don't, but I also have longer breaker bars, so you get more leverage, so you don't have to put as much effort into it, so that helps too. Yeah. Good question though. That's a very good question.
I think it's important to know the torque wrench rating for your vehicle, because if you use an impact wrench to take off the lugs, you can overdo it putting them back on.
Yeah, so the statement was to know your torque rating of your vehicle, because like if you use an impact gun to take them off or to put them back on, that there is a possibility, especially nowadays with some of these really good impact guns, that you over torque it, and you make it even worse on yourself or the next person trying to take the wheel off because it's over torqued. So yeah, I'm a big fan of power tools to take stuff off. typically not a big fan of power tools to put them back on. If you are going to use a power tool, always set it to the lowest setting. Typically there's like a 1, 2, 3, and then like an automatic type setting. Put it on 1, run it in, and then finish it off with your breaker bar and or torque wrench. Any other questions? Yes.
What's your experience with replacement valves?
My experience with replacement valves. So I do carry kind of an emergency one that a company makes that you like put it in and then you like tighten it down, and it's meant for an emergency one. I never actually had to use it. Put your spare tire on. It's kind of where I'm at on this. Like it's a very specialized thing. Like you've got to cut the one off. The bigger issue is that's typically designed for off-road vehicles that don't have TPMS sensors. So if you break your valve stem off of your current day vehicle after, 2016, everything is required to have TPMS. For those of you who don't know, TPMS is tire pressure monitoring system. A lot of vehicles, at the end of your valve stem where you put the air in, there's a sensor on the back of that. If you break off your valve stem, that sensor is now bouncing around on the inside of the tire as you're going down the road. Depending on what the sensor is made of, there is a chance of it cracking a wheel. Anything is possible. So in general, current modern day vehicles, I don't really suggest it. If you're like off-road, really slow speeds, maybe a possibility thing. But in general, I would just recommend putting your spare tire on at that point. Yeah. What else we got? Any other questions, concerns, thoughts, feedback, suggestions? Tell me to go away. It's all fine. All right. Well, yes.
For those of us that don't want to do any of this, can you recommend the best roadside service?
Yeah. So the question is, for those of you that don't want to do any of this, myself included, what's the best roadside service? That's kind of a loaded question because none of them are the best. It's going to depend on where you're at. Like you can be in the middle of Denver and pretty much all of them work fine. Or you can be on the entry road to Yellowstone and you're not going to get any help.
Did you say if you're on a washboard road that they won't come to you?
They off the dirt.
If it's so there's a few caveats here, but if it's not on pavement, 9 times out of 10 the company won't do it unless it's a county maintained dirt road. Typically, they won't come out. Like so, if it's like a U.S. forestry road, they won't come out. If it's like a state or county road that like maybe there's like some people that live down there, but because of the amount of traffic it's not paved, then yeah. But if you're like, we're talking like BLM land, if we're talking like national park, national forest, stuff like that, they won't do it, especially national park, national forest, because typically they have contracts with specific towing companies that are only permitted, insured, and allowed to go into those areas in agreements with the local government. So there's a lot of weird caveats. If you ever do have problems in your international park, national forest, that kind of stuff, call the ranger, and they'll absolutely give you the best suggestion, and often will come help you. But they'll give you the best suggestion on what route to take, because they do have agreements with local towing companies. But typically your AAA and all that stuff won't do anything. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, your AAA, Good Sam, all this stuff is really for on-the-road traveling. It's almost never going to be of help if you're on dirt roads. Almost never. So that's why it's so important to be as self-sufficient as you possibly can. Yeah, it's very important. Yes.
Yep, your valve stems, so you want to air down to 18.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you used those?
Yeah, so the comment was, or question is, there's a lot of companies that make valve stems or add-ons that allow you to air down either quickly or more precisely. I've got a couple thoughts on those. So I've tried the ones where you like set the tension and it'll get you to a certain PSI. I find they don't work very reliably. I have tried them. I've tried a couple different manufacturers, and they don't really work very well. What I use nowadays is something called a deflator. There's a lot of different companies that make them. There's single tire ones, like ARB makes a single tire one. That's what I use up here. In one of my other vans, I have something called an indeflate, where it has 2 hoses. So one goes to each of your like back or each of your front, and then you take the valve stem out and then put it on there, and then you can lower them both at the same time to a tire pressure. That's the route I prefer to take. to lower tire pressure. There is also an option called apex valves. And these I really like. Is that they actually replace the whole valve stem, and then they have like a little collar you pull up, and it releases all the air, and you just push it back down, and then use your tire pressure gauge to check what your tire pressure is and that kind of stuff. It's really fast because it basically is bypassing your valve stem, and it's just blowing air out. Like you can go from 70 psi to nothing in like 30 seconds. Like it's very effective. That's what I like to use, just because it's one less thing to carry. This van doesn't have it. My other vans do. But they have TPMS versions where you can put a TPMS sensor on the back of it, so you can still keep your tire pressure monitoring. Or they have non-TPMS versions, like if you don't have it. But yeah, I like those kind better than like the screw-on preset ones. Yes.
I apologize, I came in late. Did you cover like these fix-a-flat sprays earlier?
I did. Don't use them. Yes. Yeah. Yep. Everybody's already heard that. You're fine. I don't need to repeat that. You're good.
Yeah, they're great.
Yes. Yeah.
If you do decide you want to carry a drill,
Sure.
what size bit would work with the
Yeah, quarter inch bit's pretty good. Yeah, you can go a quarter inch or a step or two lower. Any of those will work. But quarter inch is a good like size, so it takes a lot less effort to get the plug in. But it's not too big that you're going to risk, having a leak still. Like that's what I found in my trial and error. Something like quarter inch or a little bit smaller is perfectly adequate. The question was what drill bit to use if you're using a drill to remount the hole if you have a trim finish nail or something in your tire, something smaller.
They make reamer drill bits too.
They do, but a lot of people it's one more thing,
Well, I mean that's really what it's made for, as opposed to a drill bit for drilling.
Most people have drill bits.
Yeah.
You gotta like order reamers and all that kind of stuff. You're alright. You're totally right. There is a purpose-built tool for that. But that's just one more thing you gotta buy and carry.
I agree. Fine. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Anything else? Anybody else? Going once? Twice? Okay, if you want to see any of this stuff, I'm in the big blue thing up there. More than welcome to ask any other questions you guys want. If you didn't want to ask in front of everybody else, more than happy to chat. Appreciate you guys so much for hanging out again. Grant with Freedom Van Gogh out of Jacksonville, Florida. Thanks again, and everybody enjoy it and safe travels.